Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out the Podcast, the greatest podcast ever featuring yours truly, John and On.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and this is episode 123 of Fresh Out the Podcast. It's just the two of us tonight. We're holding down the fort because, life happens. We had to skip last week, but we're here this week, even if it's just me and Jahan, and we don't have our co-host. Gary's intro that I've heard a million times is slipping from me. Retired child crimes and human trafficking detective turned tabletop titan. There it is. I got it.
There you go. Yeah.
We're missing Gary.
And Podcast Poppy.
Podcast Poppy. That's right.
That's a newer edition now. But yeah, man, how's your week been? You have a good time? Do anything cool, Drew?
I went to a big crawfish boil over the weekend.
Okay.
Friend of the show, Zach, was supposed to be there, and he stood me up. Which is fine. I was there with family, and there were other friends and folks there, so it's not like I was completely relying on Zach. Only a few tears were shed, but I was stood up.
What a jerk.
Yeah.
I almost kissed him on the mouth
there.
on Tuesday, so that was fun.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah. We were at a restaurant, and I gave him a hug, and someone was like, "Kiss him!" And I dipped him and almost got him, but he was wiggling too much. So maybe next time.
There's some interesting news today, but nothing that I feel like is worth focusing our show in. Did you see that IGN acquired other games media and IGN acquired Eurogamer, VG247, GameIndustry.biz, it acquired all these. They're all being consolidated into IGN, which I feel like that's not good for the games media industry.
No, not at all.
So that's kind of interesting. Less media outlets reviewing games and doing game content. IGN is just kind of monopolizing that content. I guess who are the other big ones? GameSpot, I guess.
Yeah.
Polygon's
a big one. Jeez, I can't even think of them off the top of my head right now. Those are the only two.
Eurogamer was a big one.
Eurogamer is a big one, dude. I mean, that's crazy. It's not good. I mean, it's going to dilute, they're consolidating their power. And so they're gonna, people are gonna come to them, want them to review their games, and they're gonna give them good reviews because they're getting paid. And it's just not gonna be good for games in general, I feel.
And then on the games front, there is a new Xbox Game Studios game that was released today, but it was released today, so I haven't had a chance to play it. But I'm excited to dig into Hellblade 2 when I get a chance. The reviews have been positive.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing about it is it's similar to the first one in that it's like a shorter game and very, very story driven, kind of linear, which not a complaint here. I liked the first one a lot. I think I just thought that maybe with them spending so much time on the sequel that it was going to be a little bit bigger, but they did a pretty good job to manage expectations in the months leading up to the game's release. And, it's a good day for Xbox gamers to have a new exclusive from an Xbox game studio that's out on Game Pass. So I'll be playing that some in the upcoming week.
If it's as good as the first one, I mean, well worth the wait. The first one was great. I don't know, the story's fantastic. It's a disturbing game. It really bothers you in a weird, on a high level. Makes you experience psychosis. Super interesting game concept. Super interesting character. I'll be loading that up as soon as we're done here. So yeah.
So that's kind of what's going on. No other huge breaking news for us to really talk about. But there's a movie that I saw and I'm going to talk about in our fresh movies called I Saw the TV Glow. Have you heard of this movie by any chance?
I feel like I've heard that term recently, so they were probably referencing the movie, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'll get into it, but one of the things that it is about is the nostalgia of TV shows that we loved growing up, and like one of the ideas the film visits is like revisiting those things as an adult and realizing they really don't hold up, or you remember it being a certain way, and as an adult you're like, oh, this wasn't as good, or it doesn't look as good. It's cheaper than I remember. You know, it that kind of thing, which I'll talk about in more detail. But the thing that it got me thinking of, and actually X-Men '97 got me thinking of this too, is like, you know, when you were younger, like elementary school age, maybe pre-K even, you'd be out on the playground, and there were those characters from popular media, like from the things that we liked, that it was just, without question, that was a cool character. As an example, I remember being introduced to Power Rangers when I was younger. And it was like, Tommy the Green Ranger was the coolest. Everybody liked Tommy. That was just fact. And I feel like there's a lot of characters, Wolverine, you know, from the X-Men animated show, same thing. Like, Wolverine's the coolest, whatever. But I started to push back against that. I'm like, are there any characters that you grew up with that they were just the assumed cool characters? This is the character that everybody likes, that you personally were kind of like, fuck that guy. I don't like that. I'm not really a big fan of that character. Kind of overrated. So I kind of wanted to throw the ball in your court and see if there's any character, if you have any hot takes from like fan favorite childhood characters that in hindsight you're like, you know what? Never really liked that guy. Everybody else liked him. Overrated.
I feel like there's gotta be, but I don't know. I wasn't the biggest hater. I tend to watch. I watched everything with like sparkles in my eyes, man. Like I was always in awe of just moving pictures, I guess, because I'm stupid or something. I don't know, but you know, I would just kind of watch the TV. And I watched a lot of weird stuff too. Like I watched a lot of B-side cartoons, like Jack's Jackrabbit and or Jazz Jackrabbit or whatever it was, and like, you know, just weird stuff like that. But an assumed cool character,
like people love Batman.
People
right?
love Batman, yeah.
And I like Batman. I like Batman a lot. But here's the thing: I was not a Batman the Animated Series kid. That was not one of my go-tos. I didn't really accept Batman as being like an awesome character personally until the Nolan Batman movies. And then I was like, okay, this is elevated. Batman has elevated the superhero genre. Yeah. And from then on, it's like Batman's a really big character to me. Before that, not really. Wolverine, kind of the same thing. Like Hugh Jackman is great and has kind of elevated the character of Wolverine in film. Beforehand, the comic book version of Wolverine, and even still in the comics, like Wolverine's not my favorite X-Men in the characters and in the comics. And sometimes I'm like, why is Wolverine the one that people have attached themselves to? And I get he's got an interesting backstory, and there's some interesting things you can do there with the healing factor and his memory and so on and so forth. Yeah, but the one character that made me kind of think of this question is Gambit. Like I feel like everybody thought Gambit's was
one
the
for
coolest.
me too, actually. I never thought Gambit was that cool either. Him. Now that you're saying it, it's kind of making me think.
Look at me with my bow staff and my purple costume and brown trench coat. Everybody thinks I'm so cool because I throw kinetic energy cards. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Gambit, mid Gambit.
I didn't really get that one. I was a big fan of both Wolverine and Batman when I was a kid, and I still like both of them. You know who's super overrated is the Joker, but that's just, you know, that once that something like that pops into the mainstream, it just gets gross.
I think that's another one too. Like the Heath Ledger Joker elevated that character. Now everybody's the Joker, but yeah, like other than that, I mean, I guess the Arkham games have a really, really good Joker depiction, and of course, like the Mark Hamill voiced Joker from the animated
he was
series,
great in the animated series, but like, I don't know, man. I just feel like he's overly popular now. Just like, you know, Harlequin. Just, I don't know. Once the mainstream gets a hold of it, they kind of ruin it. But that's not really what you're asking. Gambit, yes, that's one. I had another one. I can't remember what it was though. It got away from me. But I don't know.
can
I feel like I'm probably target demographic number one for a lot of these.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like, I guess, are there any of these nostalgic properties that are coming back, or, you know, get like these legacy sequels or whatever that you're like, I don't really care. That one's just not really for me.
I saw one that they're talking about doing the motorcycle Martian mice or whatever again. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I don't think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Martian motorcycle mice
Google
or whatever they're called.
Martian motorcycle mice. I'm not familiar with the program.
It was a 90s cartoon. I had the toys. I also had like Skeleton Warriors. That was another one. But they're talking about bringing this mouse show back, and I was like, why?
Biker mice from Mars.
Biker mice from Mars. There it is.
Yeah, I kind of recognize these characters a little bit.
And like, I guess another one, Street Shark. I was never that big into. Everyone liked it a lot. I like the toys.
Yeah, those shows, even me as a kid, I feel like I kind of saw through it, and I was like, these are just to sell toys. Don't get me wrong. The toys were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another one that I guess I wasn't a kid that grew up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, that's just wasn't on rotation for me. So as I got older, like, I have no nostalgia for it, and I really like the newer movie, the Mutant Mayhem. I think is really good. But I actually just recently went back and watched all three of the 90s
live actions
ones.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, hell yeah for you. For me, I'm like, it is interesting that these were a phenomenon.
I mean,
the third one in particular, woof. I think
the third one was
like,
not good, but the first two are great. The second one's probably my favorite. I grew up in Ninja Turtles, and I feel like just the quality of the turtle costumes alone is enough to make you marvel back then. You know what I mean? Like, they looked good for the 90s. Like, they looked like cartoon characters brought to life. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the costumes are great. I do love the physical costumes, but the movies as a whole, I mean, I think they're fine. I think I was expecting to be like, oh, I can see the nostalgia here, but when you have no ties to it, I don't know.
I remember the character that I was thinking of, Deadpool. Oh my god, I thought he was so overrated. I like him now. I like the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. I'm excited for the movie that's coming out, this weekend or something?
It comes out in July. So
does it?
About 2 months.
I thought it came out sooner. Okay, cool. Man, someone at work told me it was coming out this week, and I was like, really? And then I guess he was
Furiosa
wrong.
Comes out this week.
Furiosa does come out. I'm definitely seeing that. It got good reviews. But yeah, man, Deadpool, super overrated for me when I was growing up. Never understood that one.
I didn't really get introduced to Deadpool until probably middle school. And so, yeah, I agree. And even, I mean, this might be heresy too, but I like the movies, the Ryan Reynolds movies. Like, I think the first one is fine, and I think the second one is pretty good. But a lot of people like love those movies, and like I think that they're fine to good. I think the new one, Deadpool and Wolverine, looks great. Like, I'm super excited for it.
Same.
But the first two, I feel like, are a little bit overrated. The second one in particular, I think, is a little bit overrated.
I like them both. I think they're both great, but they're not like in my top 10 or anything.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm trying to think. We can put a bow on this conversation, but I don't know. It just got me thinking about, there were the characters that were just universally loved as like, that's the cool character, and nobody questioned it. And I feel like Gambit was kind of one of those where, man, if you were going to get an X-Men action figure, like, get the Gambit figure. Gambit's pretty cool. And I push back on that a little bit. I'm like, is he that cool? I think there's a lot of other X-Men characters that I think are cooler than Gambit is.
Most of them, yeah. Gambit's mid. I don't know. Like, every time I got him in the video game, I'd be like, aw. Like, I want to play someone else. Yeah, I mean, what were your big shows back then, though? Because you seem to have watched weird stuff. Like, I was big on Ninja Turtles, Batman, and Power Rangers, and Gargoyles. That was a big one for me, too.
Yeah, let's see, like, the first big kind of franchisey show I attached myself to was Power Rangers. I was a big Power Rangers kid. But I feel like at home, I watched a lot of home media. Like I had a lot of VHS tapes and things I watched, and I had older sisters. So like I didn't get control of the TV to watch like X-Men cartoons on Saturday morning or to watch whatever. I would watch Power Rangers or I would watch, the Disney movies I had on VHS, like, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and those kinds of movies that came out like when we were growing up in the prime of that Disney Renaissance. I feel like it was Power Rangers, and then I kind of like once I started to move on from Power Rangers, and it was a little too old for it. Is right around the time that they re-released Star Wars trilogy in theaters again, the special editions, and that became my obsession for a couple years there until Pokemon took over, and then
that was a big one.
Once Pokemon was at the center of my life, is when I started making a transition to video games and really being into games and such. But those are kind of it was like Power Rangers to Star Wars to Pokemon. I feel like were big stepping stones, and Legos were really big.
Yeah. A lot of those were big for me too. I feel like I watched everything and anything. Like I even watched the shitty Power Rangers spin-offs like Mystic Force. Not the Power Rangers Mystic Force, but like the Mystic Knights show where they were like in medieval times. It was really bad, but I liked it. Beetleborgs, all that stuff.
VR Troopers was one.
VR Troopers.
Figures of.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, man.
I watched a lot of Nickelodeon shows too. Like I liked Rugrats and Hey Arnold, and,
of course,
those kinds of shows. Which actually the Nickelodeon, unless there's any other characters you want to mention, the Nickelodeon topic is a great transition to movies of the week, and I can talk a little bit more about I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah, sure.
Unless you have anything else.
No, it's a good time to transition. I feel like we could talk about this all day forever. So let's
absolutely, yeah. I feel like that's half of what Fresh Out the Podcast hinges on. It's a way for us to talk about the things we love and the shows we watch and nostalgia, and so it's something that comes up a lot. But this question specifically of the all-time popular characters you wanted to push back against, I thought were interesting. I always thought
G.I. Joe sucked. That was the thing.
I agree. I bet Gary has some hot takes on this.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's a shame he wasn't here for it.
Yeah. Well, we can move on to fresh movies of the week, and since we didn't get to talk last week, I have a little bit of a backlog to talk through here.
Go for it,
I did
man.
want to talk about I Saw the TV Glow. This is an A24 release. It's like a psychological horror drama movie, and I'm going to explain this to you. And I feel like on paper, this is going to sound really good, but this movie, your mileage will vary. First off, I love A24, and I love that they can do like more populist stuff that appeals to a lot of people. This is very much an art house film, directed by Jane Schoenbrunn. It's lower budget, like a $10 million budget, and essentially this movie stars Justice Smith, who you may have seen most recently in Dungeons and Dragons. He's in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Detective Pikachu,
exactly. So he's the lead of this, and essentially he plays a young kid who in middle school is kind of isolated, doesn't have many friends. He meets this girl, and they bond over this TV show. It's a fictional TV show called The Pink Opaque. And The Pink Opaque is essentially the director, Jane Schoenbrunn, captures perfectly the feeling of Snick. If you remember Snick.
I do.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Meets The Adventures of Pete and Pete is like totally the vibe of this show they've created in this movie called The Pink Opaque. And Justice Smith's character is named Owen, and he and this girl Maddie bond over this show. It is their favorite show, to the point where it basically takes over their lives, and it kind of starts to blur reality, especially as they get older. The show gets canceled. They have this strong attachment to the show. They split apart, but when they reunite, it's like they have visions of getting reality crossed of them being in the show and what's real and what's not. And the movie juggles a lot with identity and just kind of like, I don't know, like online culture now and how we react to the things that we love, but putting it through these characters and seeing things through kind of rose-colored glasses and that kind of thing. And I love the idea of what this movie is doing, and I think that they capture that feeling really well, but it is very much like a metaphorical movie. It is not told in a straightforward way. There's a lot that you can take from it. I think everybody will take something different from it, which I think is the quality of a great movie. I think I just wasn't expecting it. I don't know if I wasn't ready for it. It just didn't all resonate with me. Or it I feel like I should have loved this and I didn't. It's getting critically praised, like across the board. They're loving what this did, and it's the kind of movie that I'm like, am I dumb for not absolutely loving this, even though I really love a lot of what they did in it. So it's a really interesting movie. It's in limited release now. Like, I think it's showing locally here at Alamo Drafthouse.
Nice.
I think I recommend it just to see what you think of it, but it's a really difficult movie to recommend. It's one that I'll push you and Gary to watch in the future, just because I'd be really interested to see what you each take away from it.
It actually sounds really cool to me, so I want to see it. And yeah, now once you mentioned Justice Smith, I was like, oh yeah, I did see the preview for that. It looked awesome.
His dad's played by Fred Durst in it.
Like,
pretty good Fred Durst performance too. Is this like really rude father figure who doesn't let Justice Smith's character like stay up late or watch TV, like they're really strict parents. Yeah, Fred Durst pretty good in this. Doesn't say a whole lot, but he's
Fred Durst. Fred Durst has actually done quite a bit of acting in some horror movies in the past. I know that he appeared across from Freddy Krueger at one point. The actor, not the character. But
he's a cinephile. Like, he's a writer director in his own right, yeah. And so kind of appreciate him being in this movie that kind of focuses a lot on adaptation or how you interpret, the medium. So I like that he's in it. I think it's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, dude. Nah, I want to check this out. Sounds great. I saw the TV Glow from A24 out now in select theaters.
Yep, and then everything else, like, I don't have too much to say. I did see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
It's really long. It's like 2.5 hours long.
I'm surprised that you liked it that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid. It's very much an ape-focused story.
You have to be.
But there's some really, yeah, I know, right? But I just mean in the sense of there's like really 1 to 2 main human characters in it. But I've been pretty vocal about it on this show of like, there's no Andy Serkis. There's not really any big names in it. How are they going to do this? I wasn't getting good vibes. It's good. It's totally solid. It has some slow parts. You feel that 2.5 hour runtime, but overall, I like a lot of what they tried to do in this world, and I'm gonna be there to see all these Apes movies. This is definitely, it's done well at the box office. There's gonna be more of them for sure. This was the first of the Disney Fox Apes movies since they acquired Fox, and they're gonna keep making them because it's making money. So
is this
Planet of the Apes? Pretty good.
Is this part of the is this a continuation of the series, or is this a restart? Or
it is a continuation. Okay. So Caesar is mentioned, like Andy Serkis's Caesar character, but this takes place with, I think it says, generations in the future. So you're presumably it's like hundreds of years in the future. That we've advanced from where War for the Planet of the Apes left off. But Caesar remains a big presence, and Caesar's teachings and how Caesar's teachings are interpreted differently by different clans of apes.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. Okay. I like that.
So there's some cool ideas there. It's not all executed perfectly, but overall I think it's pretty sound. I think you, as somebody who is really anticipating this movie, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll like it.
Okay, cool. I'll actually go check it out. Oh boy.
I also saw If, the new John Krasinski directed Imaginary Friends movie.
That one really could have gone either way. I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
I don't mind a movie that tries to emotionally manipulate me and manipulate my emotions. I'm fine with it. A great example of this is Up, right? Pixar's Up.
Oh.
The intro to Up is great. I find it like it gets me. Don't get me wrong. It affects me. That opening scene of Up, especially the first time I saw it. Now on revisit, it still gets me, but I'm like, man, they know how to emotionally manipulate an audience well. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying that's what they do.
It's a
and
talent.
That's what its intention is to do. And If I feel like tries to do that, but it's just not all there, and it comes across super hollow. I struggle to see who this movie's for. It's a little bit too boring and adult for younger kids, but like it's not all there and kind of boring for adults. So it's just there's some cool designs of the ifs. There's a twist in the movie you can see coming from 1,000 miles away. John Krasinski, who directs the movies, in the movie as well and plays the dad, and just I found to be super grating. And the lead actress who plays B, her name's I don't have it up in front of me. This is bad, but she's pretty good in it. The movie looks fantastic. It's just it just didn't do it for me. The emotional part of it just did not resonate with me.
Kaylee
and I
Fleming?
don't feel. Yes, Kaylee Fleming. Thank you. I almost was going to say Kaylee Spanning, which that's the girl who played Priscilla.
Pretty close.
Priscilla Presley. Kaylee Fleming. Yeah, so there's a huge voice cast here, like some really big names. Steve Carell, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, but then Awkwafina, George Clooney, Bradley Cooper, Matt Damon, Bill Hader, Richard Jenkins, Keegan-Michael Key, Blake Lively, Sam Rockwell, Maya Rudolph, Amy Schumer, Jon Stewart. Like, they're all voice cast, but some of these people only have like a line or two, like super, super small parts. You wouldn't even know it was them because it's over so fast. You know, it's like John Krasinski just flexing with the Rolodex of famous people he knows that were able to step in the studio and do a line or two. But that's neither here nor there. It's like if you're gonna have big voices, that's fine. The main thing is that the emotional journey that the movie tried to take you on just didn't really work for me. I thought this was pretty mid. So that's If. Lastly, I took my daughter to an early screening of the Garfield movie, which is the new animated Garfield movie. Not to be confused with Garfield the movie, which is the 2004 live-action Garfield movie with Bill Murray voicing Garfield. That was followed up by the sequel. I believe it's called Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties, if I'm remembering correctly.
I do believe that is the name, yeah.
This is the Garfield movie with Chris Pratt voicing Garfield and Samuel L. Jackson voicing Garfield's father. Garfield has some daddy issues in the movie, and it's a totally ordinary but good kids animated movie. Like it's a Sony movie, but it's really trying to be like a kind of like an Illumination-esque animated film.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think it achieves what it's trying to do. There's nothing extraordinary about it. There's a decent voice cast. I made a comparison previously to this movie being like, this is going to be a weird one.
Yeah.
But Jurassic World Dominion,
Okay.
the most recent Jurassic World movie, which I believe you, me, and Gary all saw and talked about, and I don't think any of us
You
really
mean
liked
Jurassic
it very much.
Jurassic Locust, the movie?
Exactly, right? So remember how that Jurassic World movie, the main plot really had to do with locusts?
I wish I didn't.
Well, the main plot of the Garfield movie has to do with Garfield and company reuniting a bull with a cow, like who are essentially in love. That's what the plot of this movie
bull?
is. Just a bull.
A
yes.
bull. Okay.
A purple bull, voiced by Ving Rhames.
Okay.
And so, anyways, but it's totally fine. Like if you're gonna
That's
take your
fine.
kids to see an animated movie in theaters, Garfield's gonna probably scratch the itch. My daughter giggled a lot at it, and that's always enough to give me like a half star to a star, full star bump. Seeing a movie is what
Makes your
my
kid
daughter
giggle.
likes.
Yeah, that's a good criteria.
Yeah. So that's the Garfield movie. That's the movies that I wanted to talk about this week. I see that you have one to mention here,
I
and it's a movie that I
do.
really like, so I'm excited to hear about
Yeah,
it.
I saw The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti, and oh boy, so I really like this movie a lot. It was good. I like this, whatever this vibe is of movie. I tend to enjoy these like school age, like way too real for whatever reason kind of movies. It's just fun for me. I enjoy it, seeing how people cope in just life. It's refreshing. And I don't know, I feel like there was a lot of heart in this movie. I feel like Paul Giamatti's performance was outstanding. Like, holy crap, can that guy act? And then obviously, Davine Randolph, with her, supporting actress, Oscar win?
Yeah, Oscar win now.
She was great. It was fantastic. Everybody in this movie was great. A lot of good acting. The story was good. And it was just, I recommend seeing this movie. I feel like it's a good holiday movie without being overly Christmassy.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I love that movie. I've watched it twice now, and I'm glad that you finally got to catch it. What did you think of Paul Giamatti's eye in the movie?
It was,
I know
yeah.
personally.
Yeah, it was really good.
When I saw it, I was like, does Paul Giamatti have a lazy eye? And I just didn't know this or haven't noticed until now.
Yeah, we looked it up
but he
because
doesn't.
we also thought that he had a lazy eye because it looks so real. And nope,
Yes.
he faked it for the whole movie. Fantastic character work, fantastic movie. A lot of character development. It's amazing watching someone like that like change in such a profound way. It's just, I don't know, it's rewarding. It's like spiritually rewarding, and I think this movie can gas up your soul a little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
Couldn't
got
agree more.
I got a little fresh TV to talk. First off, I finished Fallout. Fallout has been a sensation across pop culture for like a month now, and I finished the show. It was fantastic. They leave it open for a really cool second season that people are very excited for. So, I don't know. The acting's great. The special effects are out of control. The story's fantastic. I don't, no notes. Well, maybe some notes. I feel like they do a thing where they go too big too fast, I think. They get to really, really high-end epicness in one season. And, like, I don't know. Where do you go from there? You know what I mean? But it seems like they do have plans for some continued grandeur here. Fallout.
It's like you're saying they could have maybe saved some of these big punches for a future
Yes.
season and built up to it a little more.
I feel like there were a lot of reveals about characters and about stuff going on that, like, I'm like, really? You gonna do that season 1? Like, boom, like that? Like, that's crazy. Like, you could have done this in season 4. Like it's that big of a thing that they could have held on to, but they went for it, and I respect it. I think it worked out great. Yeah, check out Fallout if you haven't. It's a really good show. You don't even have to like the games. It gets by without without relying on your love of the game. My
Fair enough.
other watch has been Dark Matter on Apple TV, based on the book by the same name. It's a sort of a multiversal, cerebral game, or not game, a show about, what if you could take the path untraveled? What if you could go back? What if you could, live that alternate life that, you always wondered about? It kind of answers some of those questions. It does it in a really interesting way. It's pretty intense. Well, it's a little slow in the beginning. It gets kind of intense in the second episode, and it's just, I don't know. I think it's good. I like it. I'm going to continue watching it. Not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but very interesting multiversal sci-fi, and it has what's his name? One of the Boyles from Always Sunny.
Joel Edgerton. One of the Boyles, Jimmy Simpson, who's in the Westworld series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in
It
it.
stars Joel Edgerton and Jennifer Connelly, right?
Yeah, Jennifer Connelly's in this, which I thought was crazy. Yeah.
I watch a lot of movies through Apple TV in general and through the app, and they have been pushing Dark Matter all over the Apple TV Plus app, and I think it looks good. I just haven't jumped into it. So,
My only thing is, like, I'm not crazy about the main guy. Not crazy about him.
Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, he's fine. His character's cool, but the actor's fine. The
I
rest,
like Joel Edgerton in general. He's made some interesting choices as an actor. Like, not all of the projects work, but like he's been in a lot that I really do like.
I don't know. The rest of the cast is great, and he's not bad. It's just, I want a little more from him. Maybe he pumps it up in the next few episodes. But yeah, Dark Matter, interesting sci-fi for sure. Check it out. And that's it for Fresh TV already. That was it. We got through it.
Yeah, I don't really have much. It's just been a lot of reality TV. I haven't been watching much shows. I had a lot of movies, so that's where a lot of my time has been spent. I just with kids right now, I have to make the choice between movies and TV because I don't have very much time, and I
understand.
I'm the movie mastermind, man. I gotta live up to my name, so I still need to catch up on Fallout. I need to finish that series, and I will. However, talking about fresh games, I mentioned at the end of the last episode we did that I had ordered a PlayStation Portal.
Yep.
And that I would kind of come back and report on it. And I am happy to say I love this device. And it has been doing it for me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Just being able to access current gen games on a handheld device that you feel like you're getting the full experience and not like a dumbed down experience because you're playing it portably, I've really enjoyed. This is a remote player, so you are essentially streaming your console over your Wi-Fi to this handheld device. You're not playing, the hardware is not baked into this device.
Yeah.
You are just, you're basically your console's throwing its image to this device so that you can play it while you're
you're essentially casting to a screen. Yeah.
I brought it here with me. I have it here so I can show it to you.
Let me see.
So you can see its size. And it is right here. Let's see. Hopefully it doesn't blur.
Oh boy.
Because I have my
That's a big screen, man.
It is, and I'll try and turn it on here. I know this isn't good podcasting if you're not watching the video, which it's gonna show
there it is
here a little bit.
That's like double the Switch screen.
It's so actually. Let me see if I can back up a little bit. There we go. Okay, it's gonna reflect my monitor in it. Here is my launch Switch from 2017 for comparison. So you can see like the screen itself of the PlayStation Portal is like almost the size of the whole Switch.
Yeah.
With the remotes. So that's it, the PlayStation Portal, and it has the haptics of the PS5 controller are built in here, so you get the full experience on it. And it's been working great on my Wi-Fi. I've been playing a lot of the Resident Evil 2 remake on it. I've been playing Forspoken, which I mentioned recently.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I've come to. We're the Xbox guys, and we've always been the Xbox guys in this podcast, and like we talk a lot about Xbox. The Xbox landscape recently has just been super strange, right? Like Xbox seems like they're moving in the direction of becoming a giant publisher, more so than anything. They're going to keep making consoles, but they're going to want their games everywhere that they can, which I think is a good strategy. But it has me thinking, like, you know what, maybe I just want to play some games elsewhere for a little bit. And, spend a little bit more time with my PlayStation, because it really is some great hardware and a great... I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. The controller's great. I love the Xbox controller though. It's just really hard. I'm just trying to, figure out where I want to be playing games moving forward.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm going to jump into Hellblade 2. I'm going to be spending plenty of time with my Xbox. But it's been great to spend time with my PlayStation remotely around my house, especially like when I'm laying in bed and I don't really want to play my Switch. I want to play more of like, I don't want to say real console games because that's talking down to Nintendo, and Nintendo's fantastic. There's amazing Switch games, but like I can't play Resident Evil 2 Remake on my Switch. I can't play Red Dead Redemption 2 on my Switch. Well, I guess technically you can. I think it is on
you can
Switch
play a
now.
lot of like big games on it, but they're not great. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a really great experience. So I wanted to follow up on that because I've used it almost every day since getting it. Which has been great.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned playing elsewhere because I guess Xbox has been kind of meh lately. I've been playing more on my PC lately. There's been a lot of sales recently. Spring sale, summer sale, whatever. I guess summer sale. Just all over the place. Humble Bundle, Steam Store, all that stuff. You can get a lot of games for really cheap. I'm getting games for like 50 cents and stuff, like some that I actually wanted to play. So like pretty cool things. But two that I played, I actually gave enough time to give an opinion on here. I played Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. If you've played Vampire Survivor, this is essentially the same thing, but with a Deep Rock Galactic twist. You can play as the 4 main classes. You have to unlock them. You start with the scout. It's an auto shooter, so you level up, and your guns shoot automatically towards enemies, that kind of thing. The key difference here is that you do mine. You can go through rock walls and stuff by mining. And you're killing waves trying to unlock the boss battle at the end of every level, and then you have to race to the pod to go down to the next level. And it's a roguelike in that way. Very fun. I did like it. It is normally only $10, so it's not like a big purchase, but it's a solid game for $10. I got it for $7 on sale. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, absolutely recommend. If you like Vampire Survivor, this is right up your alley. It's very fun. It doesn't have the co-op yet. It's still in early access. Very solid auto shooter. I look forward to playing it more. And then I played another game that is all over the place right now. It's blowing up big. It reminds me of when Slay the Spire came out. People couldn't stop talking about it. Balatro. It is a roguelike deck builder. Just like Slay the Spire and Monster Train. Except this one, that you use a standard deck of cards. You're not using characters and attacks and stuff like that. You're using a standard deck of cards, and you're using that deck of cards to make poker hands, right? But and you're trying to accumulate point values to beat each level. And after each level, you get rewards and stuff like that. You can upgrade your deck. You can like turn spades into diamonds. You can get combos with those diamonds. You can do this and that. You can get special jokers that do things. You can unlock tarot cards that like do crazy stuff to your cards. And you're just trying to, typical roguelike deck builder. You're trying to beat the tower. It's addictive. It's fun. It's easy to play, impossible to master kind of game. It's like $15. Solid buy. It's on, I believe it's available on all consoles and PC. So Balatro. It's a fantastic game. If you like roguelike deck builders, this game is the current top dog in that genre of new deck builders. So check it out.
Very cool. And then just to mention while we're here, this goes into my talking about the PlayStation Portal and everything, because one of the things we didn't get to talk about 2 weeks ago on our last episode when we recorded, I believe we recorded on a Monday just due to scheduling and how it worked. Yeah. And the following day on Tuesday is when it was announced that Xbox closed a few different studios, which included Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks and a few others. And so, which is really sad. I mean, we obviously have we tried out Redfall, weren't fans of it, but Arcane Austin had done other things like the most recent Prey movie and some good stuff, and it stinks that happened and almost 100 people lost jobs there. Tango Gameworks that produced Hi-Fi Rush, which was a fantastic surprise Game Pass drop of last year. That studio and that game actually just got released also on on PlayStation and Switch consoles as well. And or maybe it was just on Switch. I can't remember if it's on PlayStation or not. But still, that studio shuttered, and that game was received very positively, and Xbox talked positively about it at the time of like, this game did what we wanted it to do, and now that studio's no more. And I think we've just reached a point where in video games, as these big studios, Xbox, PlayStation, whoever, continue to acquire more studios, nobody's off the table. Like, people right now in the industry are really scared for Rocksteady, who did the Arkham games, which were fantastic, but Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's their most recent game, which it sounds like they were kind of forced into doing a live service game. It hasn't been received well. It was delayed. It's had lots of issues, and people are scared for what's going to happen to that studio, because at this point, the things that they've made in the past do not matter. If there's a bit, one misstep now, it can result in an entire studio being shuttered. So it's really, really hard for the game industry. Thoughts go out to the people that have lost their jobs. That being said, I understand from a high up, corporate point of view, from like Microsoft, that Xbox, they need to be doing what they can to turn a profit. And if these games are coming out and not doing well, you got to do what you got to do. And I don't think Phil Spencer is making the decision to say, I'm closing these studios. Like, I think this goes above him. And I don't know, but I think that also is part of what led to my own discouragement with Xbox and some things going on, and maybe to place elsewhere, because it's just, they've been gobbling up different studios and acquiring, Activision, Blizzard, and whoever, but like, who knows what's going to happen from there. So it's just a lot of studios are closing. A lot of people are getting laid off in the games industry. We just saw games media being consolidated. We're just in a really weird place in the world, man.
It's a weird time in games, man, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's a weird, we're in late stage capitalism, man. It's just a weird time to be alive at all, because you're seeing a bunch of soulless, bean counters friggin' making these decisions and axing, artists, putting them out to pasture, for no good reason that we know. I'm sure it has to do with market shares and playing these weird games that they play up at the upper echelons, and I feel like it's just killing. Xbox is doing a lot of business shit right now. They're doing a lot of consolidating, like you said. They're doing a lot of they're developing their roster and all that stuff, but they're not putting out good games right now. They're not putting out content that we want to consume. They're putting out passable crap, getting third-party games on Game Pass to pacify us, and they're just not, it's not performing. And they, at the end of the day, they, like, do you want to be a game company? You know what I mean? If you do, you have to feed us games, man. Like, you have to give us what we want. Otherwise, like, what's the point? We're going to go elsewhere to a place that respects the gaming community,
There's a lot of parallels that can be made about the gaming industry and movies right now, which is that movies and games have both become, huge blockbusters or huge AAA games that cost a lot of money. Like, AAA games now especially cost so much to make and take a long time. And now if one of those games comes out and it fails, it's bad. It's really bad off the bat. And movies are kind of the same way. Studios are spending way more than they should to make some of these big blockbusters. So if the movie does even just okay, that's not good enough. That's a loss at this point. And right now we're in a point where the mid-budget game and the mid-budget movie kind of cease to exist in the ways that they used to. It's either like independent small stuff or the big budget stuff, and we've lost a lot of that middle ground. And so it makes it really scary, because when these things come out and they don't hit, the artists behind them are at risk. And that's just the state of the world where we're at. And at least over on the PlayStation side, granted, nobody there is free from being let go either. Like, I believe Bungie has just gone through layoffs and everything, and they were recently acquired by PlayStation. And even though Destiny is a big success, just nothing's off the table. But at least, like, a lot of the studios that PlayStation owns that are doing first party content, it's like they seem to be safe. Square Enix is another one that's they're going through it right now because apparently Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the remake, hasn't been selling as well, which is exclusive on PlayStation, which they probably shouldn't have done. And same with Final Fantasy 16, it was exclusive to PlayStation, and I think they're kind of realizing the error of their ways and how much sales are left off the table by doing so, and they're reassessing. So I think a lot of those games that have been exclusive the past couple of years to PlayStation will probably be coming to Xbox in the future, depending on what the exclusivity deals were. So it's just a super weird time in games. Studios closing left and right. Xbox games coming out on PlayStation. Drew started playing games on a portable PlayStation. Like, pigs can fly in this world now, and that's where we're at. Maybe that should have been the main discussion on today's episode.
It's a good discussion. I mean, yeah, man, I'm glad you mentioned, like, the movies and stuff, because, like, at the end of the day, what's happening is that the bar to entry for creating these things has just gotten so high that you're having to artists are having to justify what they want to make to rich people that don't have good opinions about this kind of thing and don't know what they're talking about. So like you're getting like the stuff that's getting approved a lot of times is stupid, and then they're like, oh well, that didn't work, I guess I should have done that other thing, but you're fired. So it's just, I don't know, man, it's a shame because you used to be able to make a game in your garage with like 4 people. You know what I mean? And like it could be good, but now you need a massive studio to really get out there. And it's just, the tools are just too expensive. And it's a shame, man. It kills that middle ground, and that middle ground can be so sweet. You know what I mean? It can be so good. And it's a shame. It's really a tough time for creatives, just period, with between everything that we just talked about and like AI, it's a rough time to be a creator. So it's possible that money and artificial intelligence are going to kill our creative's collective soul. So that's exciting, but hopefully not. I don't know, man. I think there's hope, but we just have to be aware of it, I guess. I don't know. Something has to be done.
Well, on that happy note of killing our collective soul, we can do our first picks of the week.
Hell yeah, dude! Hey, man, if you want to refresh your creative soul, check out Balatro, deck builder, fantastic, fun stuff. Basically poker, but like on drugs. So check it out; it's fun. I think everyone should play it.
And I see here, Gary, on our Google Doc we're looking at, it says Gary's fresh pick of the week is pooping.
Oh, no. I put that under Gary's.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm glad we clarified this. There's that. Sorry, I didn't type my own in, but can I do this? Can a piece of hardware be my pick of the week? Because I'm going to go with my PlayStation Portal. My PlayStation Portal is my fresh pick of the week. If you have a PlayStation 5 and you want to be able to play it remotely, and you have good Wi-Fi, that is key, because this device does live and breathe off of the quality of your own Wi-Fi. I say pick one up. I love this thing, and that's why the PlayStation Portal, seen here, is my fresh pick of the week.
Ooh, no, it's a good pick, man. Fantastic. Hey, you know what? That was a really fresh episode of Fresh Out the Podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been episode something, Drew will tell you probably, of Fresh Out the Podcast. I had a blast. I'm Johannanon.
I'm Drew Munhausen. I'm the professional media movie mastermind. You can find us on the social medias. What's the Fresh Out the Box Twitter? At Fresh Out the Box?
It's at Fresh Out the Box. I think it's _box, though. Like, Fresh Out the _box. So, yeah.
Follow us there. Follow Jahan at RockFact. Follow me at Drew Munhausen. This has been episode 123 of Fresh Out the Podcast.
Stay fresh.